Hey guys, welcome back to the adventure. Welcome back to the Christ and Culture. My name is Gordon. As you guys have probably found out from now, especially around the website, this is our second part to our launch of like actual consistent videos we want to put out weekly on top of the other content that we were putting out, whether it's the podcast we've been doing for about a year and a half since the launch of our website in January. We've been doing blogs a little more weekly. I think right now there are about 3 or 4 blogs on there, and we hope to just let those grow so you can just go and like read up on other mediums, whether it's audio, video, like reading of the Christ and culture thing, of like different aspects of our everyday life and pop culture and things that are going on around us and are being produced, and how this leads us back to this ultimate story. And so last week we started with just an intro to the Christ and culture. And this week we're starting with our videos where it's just going to be the one of us, or maybe 2 of us, depending on the week. And we're going to be tackling different themes and different topics on like a shorter scale. During this Lenten season that we are just now in, leading up to the season of Easter, I think we're going to be starting by tackling the Sunday readings in Scripture. This Sunday's reading coming up is from Luke chapter 4, verse 1 through 13. And it's where Jesus has just returned from the Jordan, and he goes out into the desert, before his crucifixion, to face temptation. Why does he go out into the desert? Because he needed to strip away from all the mess and the people into this deserted place where there's no water, nothing to feed you, in order to face his enemy, in order to face Satan. Where everything else is lost, everything else seems in despair, is where he knows he can find Satan. And Satan shows up and he tempts him in this scripture. He tempts them to turn a stone into bread. And Jesus is like, man cannot live on bread alone. He needs me. And then he's like, jump from this cliff and let the angels save you. He's like, because it is written that you can do that. And he's like, I'm not going to do this. And this theme of temptation, this theme of in despair, and especially where I'm at right now with helicopters and kids and chaos, it brought me back to last month in January. I think we're pretty much in March now, of the story of Birdbox. The movie Birdbox is a Netflix original movie that came out. It was a big hit. There even became a challenge where people were blindfolding themselves and trying to do certain things like cross the street or cook. And in Birdbox, it was this story very similar to the quiet place, where chaos erupts, basically like now, where something happens, no one knows what, but people start to see something in the world, and when they see it, they choose death. They choose this creation not meant for us. They choose temptation. And throughout the world, throughout the rest of the movie in Birdbox, the main characters are confined to this house, and they got to figure out how to live. And if they got to close the windows, they got to like hide themselves, because if they see outside, then they view temptation. All of a sudden, the world has become the desert. All of a sudden, it's chaos. Oftentimes, there's this question of like, why are we at fault for original sin? Why do we bear this weight of something that Adam and Eve, or just the first humans and like the people in the Old Testament did, if I'm not that way? And there is a sense of pride here of thinking we're not fallible too, that we aren't just as broken and full of sin. But 2, it's just knowing that we aren't made for that, knowing that our story isn't the brokenness, isn't the sin, isn't this cross that we bear, that's something that's existed and that's happened. That's the world outside of the house of Birdbox. They didn't ask for this whatever, sickness, disease, demons, whatever it may be, to be in the world and cause just like the Armageddon. But they're in it, they're living it, and they can choose to either peek out the window and look and choose death right away just to avoid it all, or they can choose to take action. They can choose to lock themselves up, to figure out clever ways, virtuous ways to get food. The main character, she blindfolds herself and her kids and takes them down the rapids, this rough life of chaos and things just being thrown at her, in order to save their lives, in order for their souls. That in the desert, where Jesus enters for us, to prove to Satan, like, you have no control over me or my people. And in this desert of Birdbox, where the world has become chaotic, there's still a path for us to take. There are still steps to be made, that nothing in this earth defines us. Nothing of the brokenness in this world, nothing that we were like, why is this what happened? Why are we here? That's not what defines us. But what we were created for, what this whole podcast is about, the ending, there are true desires of love and something more. That's what we hold on to. That's what we move forward to. So as we move into this weekend and the season of Lent, and we prepare our hearts for this story we hear every year, let's remember that whatever we're dealing with personally, whatever we see in the world, whether it's on news or on media or in the culture, there's a deeper meaning and purpose to it all. And let's start sharing that story with others and reminding everyone else of our true purpose. If I forgot to say it, like I said, my name is Gordon, and thanks again for joining us on this adventure.